Hello, friends, and welcome to your Daily Detroit. I'm Jer Stays. Today, we're talking about $500,000 going to organizations and nonprofits and businesses in Detroit's neighborhoods. It is Tuesday, October 25th, 2022. I'm back in the studio after our trip to Memphis to cover Detroit City FC, which, unfortunately, the match didn't end the way any of us wanted, with a 3-1 loss to 901 FC. But it was neat to see their first USL Championship playoff match and the end of a stellar season. Anyway, let's get to the show at hand. Joining me is Devin O'Reilly. It is not Friday, Devin.
No, it's a special episode, but not necessarily a special guest. You hear from me enough.
You do. We're going to be talking about the NeighborHUB. This is the 5th year of funding neighborhood-focused projects for this program between General Motors, the Detroit Regional Chamber. It's been around for, as I said, 5 years. They provide $500,000 in grants and additional consulting and support services to recipients. So far, there have been 44 grants awarded, totaling over $1 million to community nonprofits and small businesses. Devin, I know that you are involved in this project, so let's just put the cards on the table. What do you do here, and why do you care about it?
Along with my colleague Jenna, who we'll hear from soon, we really ideated NeighborHUB with the idea that the members of a community, the members of a neighborhood, are the best voices and the best people to listen to when creating grant opportunities. You know, in essence, they know what they need in their community. They know what they need in their neighborhood. And so the NeighborHUB program was built as a grant program initially for nonprofits, although small businesses are now eligible, to basically address barriers in their own neighborhoods, needs that they had, and to affect change in their own communities.
So joining us virtually is Jenna Young. She is the Detroit Program Officer for General Motors. Jenna, why is GM involved?
Hi, everyone. So glad to be here with you today for my first time, hopefully not the last, on Daily Detroit. I work at GM on our corporate giving team, and my job is to help GM invest its dollars in Detroit nonprofits. This program came alongside as an idea because we wanted to lower the barrier to entry to our funding. In the grant-making world, in the philanthropy world, funding from corporations and large-scale foundations is often really hard to get to, especially for newer organizations, smaller, more community-based organizations with small budgets, no staff, maybe volunteer-led staff. So this was our idea that, how do we get more cash, more opportunity into the neighborhoods, into residents' hands to help affect change outside of the downtown, midtown district? In talking with our leadership, it was brought up, how about we connect with the Detroit Regional Chamber, who is so well connected in the city, and see if we can collaborate together to create something. And I remember brainstorming early on and was in the room with Devin, and we're talking about how this program can come to life. And we were deciding what to call it. And we were like, well, we know we want a space. We want people to be able to come to a space to collaborate, to drive change. And so that's where Devin came up with the really awesome name, NeighborHUB. And it stuck, and it's really at the core of everything that this program means to be. So that was a long-winded answer, but the short answer is this is GM's response to being able to dive deep into the neighborhoods and provide opportunity where there really is often not much.
This year, small businesses are eligible to, and I just want to speak to that ease of getting a hold of that kind of grant money or those resources. Because as a small business owner, I can tell you have a million things going on. And for a lot of different proposals out there, it can be days or weeks that you have to take out of your regular job to be able to do it. And there are a lot of small businesses that, frankly, they say, okay, this money would be great and all, but I got to pay the bills and I can't take this time to go through all the hoops and whatever. So let's talk about that accessibility a little bit.
Yeah, Jared, exactly to that point. One of the things that we're proud of with NeighborHUB is that accessibility and ease. You can go, and we'll plug it again, but detroitchamber.com/NeighborHUB to check out the application. It's super simple. It's really narrative based. We're not looking for small businesses that are necessarily doing really well. We're not really trying to dig into, how successful you are currently. We're really looking at a narrative. Why is this money important? And what is this grant dollars going to go to? And something that makes it unique. And I really, in my space and in the space that Jenna works in, it really is unique to have a small business grant program like this. During COVID, some did pop up and crop up, and then the funding ran out for them. But you don't often see a program where there are $15,000 grants to small businesses, basically, without a lot of red tape, nothing owed. This isn't a loan. This isn't, a line of credit. This is pure grant dollars directed at small businesses in Detroit. So that is really unique in that aspect.
So Jenna, how has this changed and what have you learned over the years that you've been doing this program, the GM's been doing this program?
Oh my gosh, we've learned so much. Devin can attest to this too. The way the program started is not the way the program exists today, which is the beauty of it. This program is designed to be responsive to what the community needs. And so, when the pandemic hit small businesses particularly very hard, that's when we decided last year to add the small business component. So it was our first year. We were very piloty in nature, and we're excited to continue that again this year. And I would say, it was a resounding success. A quick story about the evolution of this program. When we launched it back in 2018, it was so well received by the community that our leadership at GM was like, how can we replicate this? So we had the ears of the Flint Chamber of Commerce, and they were interested in doing something. But they wanted to take a different approach, and they wanted to do it from a small business lens. So they launched their version, particularly targeted only at small businesses, not at nonprofits. So then when it came back to us last year to figure out how do we integrate small businesses, we tapped into the Flint Chamber to, again, now use best practices from them. So it's kind of a really cool, very grassroots, very passion-driven story about how this program has evolved in the last 5 years.
We mentioned about these grants that were awarded in the past, more than 40 of them. What kind of places, organizations, projects have gotten those grants?
We're really proud of the diversity of the projects. And I mean that on multiple fronts. Of course, the majority of projects have been women-led and women-owned businesses. The majority of projects have been led or businesses that are owned by people of color. And we feel that's important, but also necessary because obviously the constituencies we're representing in the city of Detroit reflects that. And the grant winner should reflect the city that we're granting the dollars to. So we're proud of that diversity, but also in terms of where the projects are located. We funded projects in, every council district in Detroit, as well as Highland Park and Hamtramck. We funded projects from reuse of blighted and vacant lots into green space, park space, active space for community, activating a neighborhood. We have transformed houses, blighted houses, into homework houses, into places where citizens can get resources, learn about weatherizing their home. And we've funded patio space and live music venues and wine bars and historic preservation of the Bluebird Inn, for instance, on Detroit's west side. That was an old jazz club that has been, visited by some of the greats. And so it really is, the breadth of projects is quite impressive at this point. And it's all about what the community needs. Each neighborhood is unique, and each neighborhood needs something different. And we're happy to fund just about anything as long as you can make the case that this is what's needed in my neighborhood.
You say just about anything, and I'll open up the floor to either you, Jenna, or you, Devin. When you say just about anything, what does that mean? What can this money be used for?
Really just about anything in terms of, if you're a nonprofit, $30,000 is available. If you're a small business, $15,000 is available. I will say that we do like to kind of tell potential recipients, potential applicants, that you want to be specific in your use of this. So if you have a $100,000+ development of a park that you want to do, why not focus on something specific? Maybe a gazebo that people can gather at. Or if you're a business, maybe you need a walk-in freezer, or maybe you need a Sprinter van so you can get deliveries out to other citizens of your neighborhood who can't necessarily access coming to your restaurant or to your business. Those types of things, being very specific about what this can do and how this can increase capacity for your nonprofit or for your business. That's really at the crux of what we look for.
Some listeners might be hearing this and going, well, yes, $15,000, $30,000 is a lot of money, but, couldn't a viable business get money from other places or someone they know? I think that's one of the keys about understanding investment in Detroit and other areas that have economic disadvantages is that you just don't have the institutional wealth there. There isn't, the aunt or the uncle or the cousin that you can go to and hit up for X or whatever in a lot of cases. And so this can really help fill a gap that really exists for a lot of businesses. And I have seen this myself a lot of times over the last 20 years in the city.
In the space that I work in as well, in entrepreneurship and small business, they talk about the first round of funding as always kind of the friends and family. And it's a nice thing to say, but not everybody has the friends and family who can loan them $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 to get themselves off the ground. I mean, that's more of a privilege than anything. So we're trying to be able to close that gap in communities that need that the most.
All right. If someone wants to raise their hand, get involved, say, hey, this I think is for me, what do they need to do? And what kind of timelines do they have?
Real simple, Jared. DetroitChamber.com/NeighborHUB. You can even Google Detroit NeighborHUB, HUB at the end. That should take you there. We're pretty searchable on Google. The website has all sorts of stuff. It has podcasts that we do with previous winners that I do. It has videos of different cohorts. You can learn more about the program. And right now, you can apply through November 7th for the NeighborHUB program. The application, like I said, is super simple. And our contact information is also on there if you want to reach out to us for any other questions.
You may or may not have heard of the Detroiters Think Big podcast on this show before, friends. And that's what it's connected to.
I may have plugged that. And it's a great way to tie back into the work we're doing with NeighborHUB.
All right, Jenny Young, General Motors, Devin O'Reilly, Friday contributor and Detroit Regional Chamber. Thank you both for your time on Daily Detroit.
Thank you so much, Jer.
Great to be here as always, Jer.
All right, thanks so much for listening. Tomorrow on the show, Cheyenne Nocerini will be in to talk about what's happening around town. We're going to have some fun with that. Thanks to That's KWC and two people who preferred to remain anonymous for buying us a coffee at buymeacoffee.com/dailydetroit, as well as thanks to our members on Patreon at patreon.com/dailydetroit, like Claire, Jonathan, and Andrew. With that, I'm Jer Stays. Thank you so much for listening. Remember that you are somebody, and I'll see you around Detroit.